Well, hello. Yes, this is Reverend Wayne S. Pierce for the 4th of November, 2014. How are you? You know, I ask that all the time, right? You know, I've never gotten any email from people. Yeah, you know, this ad and that ad and this thing and that thing. And, hey, we have an offer for you. No, thank you. But I don't get an email from you guys. So please email me, freeamericaradio@usa.com. Hey, so what's going on today? It's voting day. And I did early voting, I guess, a few months ago. So there's a lot going on today. There's a lot of people voting. They're voting their quote unquote conscience. No. They're voting who to be told to vote for. You see all this stuff going on between the Democrats and Republicans, and the Republicans are blaming the Democrats, and the Democrats are blaming the Republicans, and the Libertarians are blaming both sides, and, you know, blah, blah, blah. Basically, it's who you're told to vote for by the actions of those parties that don't want you to vote for them. Okay? It's how do you say that? Lesser of two evils. If they're both evil, then what the hell are you doing? You know what I mean? So, hey, we got that going on. So, I know it's early, but that's okay, because my show, I can do whatever I want. Hey, I want to hear from you. Email me, freeamericaradio@usa.com, freeamericaradio@usa.com, and that's how you can get a hold of me. Yeah, tell me what you're doing, how you're doing, all of that. Fill me in, all that good stuff. I'm going to take a little break, and I shall return right after this. The storm is on the horizon. The system of government that we currently have in this country is collapsing. We are on the brink of total disaster as a nation, a people, and a planet. Who or what can save us? Listen to The Views Expressed live Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific at freeamericaradio.us.
No elitist dribble, no media spin. Logic over emotion, fact over fiction. The home of independent conservative thought. The Conservative Voice with your host, Jeff Wagner, only on the Conservative Radio Network.
Hey, folks, welcome back. This is the Free America Radio Network. This is the Wayne S. Pierce Show. I am yours truly. The facts are in, folks. How can you, and I'm going to put it to you this way, two ways. Let me put it to you this way. Let's, on one side of this argument, we have the people that don't vote. On the other side of this argument, we have people that do. Now, as far as I'm concerned, when you put yourself in one of those positions, you're opening yourself up to a massive headache. And I'll tell you why. And it's really, really, really simple. Okay? Very simple. Okay? When you examine the very nature of what it truly is, what voting truly is, okay? When you examine it, when you see what people say, what people do, how people surmise their decision to vote or not vote or whatever it may be, right? When you see this, when you examine this, to me, you're seriously putting yourself in a position where you're going to be negatively criticized for a very, very long time. Now, I don't know. Just hang on to your shorts there for a minute. I don't know why people don't want to vote. Although I can understand specifically, or I should say I can understand why they don't and why they don't want to. I definitely can understand that. Okay. But I don't get it. I mean, I don't, they tell me, people who don't vote have told me, hey, I don't vote because, okay? And they give me their explanation, their rationalization, whatever it is. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, but still, why don't they want to vote? Yeah, they can give me a 5-minute spiel as to why they, don't want to vote, why they shouldn't, why this, why that. But the bottom line is, they don't want to, regardless of their decisions as to why. They don't want to. So, question is, what happens? What happens? Okay. I don't get it. Do I vote? Yes. Should I? No. So what's the rationalization? Well, it's real simple. And I vote because of my own reasons. And it's really simple. And I'll tell you what they are, and it's nothing to hide. I vote because I feel a conscience as to if I don't, then what's going to happen? If I don't vote, then this is going to continue. If I do vote, then this is going to continue, but there's a better chance of people being able to do what they need to do. Now, here's the other part of that reasoning in my conscience. It's better than going out in the streets with weapons, charging the gates of the kingdom, and demanding the head of the king. I wouldn't do that anyway. I'd go out with a sign and protest and, all that. But you understand, it's better to, in conscience, understand that, yes, I can do this, and hopefully a pebble in the pond, it'll make a change. Or I can rally 100,000 people together with 50,000, people, or 20,000 or 10,000 or 5,000 or whatever, and go out and just charge just go rush the gates and of the state kingdom and go that way. In other words, I can be peaceful or I can be violent. I'd rather be peaceful and, follow my conscience. Do people look at me and say, well, if you did that, you're a hypocrite because you talk about this and you talk about that. No. Here's the thing. The people that don't vote, I believe, have a right to bitch. Okay? Seriously. The people that do vote don't have a right to complain. Why? Because they were the ones that made the situation worse. It's people like me with a good conscience. I can sleep at night knowing that I do my small part along with hundreds of thousands of other people in my same position with the same thoughts, do their part in some small way to change the system, to change the outcome of the system in some small way. Because here, and I thought about this the other night, if you're walking down the street and you feel something, sticking into the bottom of your foot, you get a little impatient after a while and stop and sit down, take off your shoe and shake out whatever's in your shoe and, a little pebble, whatever it was. Put your shoe back on, you continue walking, you still feel that little, something sticking in your foot. So you take off your shoe, you take off your sock, you still have that there. So finally, at one point, you finally get home and you take your shoe off, you do that, you look at your foot and go, oh, it's stuck to my foot. You have to really examine the situation before you make a decision based upon what you feel you need to do. In other words, you need to follow your conscience. But you also need, and this is from my own personal experience since I've been voting for many, many years, is you really have to look at what part do you, as a registered voter who doesn't vote, have a part in this? What part do you play if you don't vote? Now, let's go to the other side of that issue. If you do vote, and things go to hell in a handbasket, and the person you voted for is twisted and deceitful, and you never knew that because, he was putting on a face through the campaign, then what are you going to do? You don't have a right to complain because of the fact that, hey, he buffaloed you and deceived you and lied to you and you voted for him anyway. You don't have a right to complain because he messed the system up. I know that doesn't make any sense. But think about it. You voted for a class president because everybody else was going to vote for him, right? You voted for a college mascot because you thought the guy was, had a cool uniform or whatever. You voted for your city council member because he promised you so much. No, he pretty much voted for the person that is being deceitful because everybody else voted for him and you followed suit because you're the nice sheeple that they want. So you've got the ones that don't vote and you have the ones that do vote. And it seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, please. It seems to me that this whole system is backwards, upside down, torn apart, ripped to shreds because of people who think that they're doing what they're doing because everyone else must be doing the same thing, and it must be okay because it's been done for years and years and years the same way all the time. Right? You see, I'm nonpartisan. I'll vote across party line. I won't vote for a Democrat and I won't vote for a Republican. But if the ballot itself, and I've seen them, by the way, in the past, where they have candidates who are on there from independent parties or whatever, but then you have one section that either shows Democrat, so what are you going to do? You know what I mean? Or Republican, what are you going to do? You know what I mean? So from my own personal experience, I look at this whole situation in voting and say this. It doesn't matter. But in some small way, when you follow your conscience and you say, yes, I've looked at the issues. Yes, I've seen, excuse me, I've seen this person's bio, and I've looked at this person over here, and I've looked at her for city council, and I've looked at him for lieutenant governor, or whatever it may be. And you follow your conscience. Don't you think you sleep better at night knowing that you did, number one? And number two, don't you think that you did the right thing? Now, I'm not saying not to vote, and I'm not saying to vote. What I'm saying is, if you don't vote, don't vote. If you do vote, vote. But remember, what difference does it make? You know? Where does it go? Are you feeling better about yourself that you made some small contribution to the process? Because that's always a good thing, because no matter what it is, whether you're voting, in a school election or whatever it may be, but you'll only know if you look at the outcome. And from what I've studied and researched, it's better to vote locally than it is to vote nationally. And when I say don't vote, or if you don't vote, don't vote, or if you do vote, vote, don't worry about the national elections, because those are all staged, rigged, and bought off and paid for long before you even get to the polling places, okay? Before you click that, little section in your electronic voting machine, it's already done on a national scale. Locally, you can change things, yes. Now, I've said that before in past broadcasts where, your local elections and your local voting and all that works in that area, wherever that is, whatever state you're in, that works because you have a better chance at putting the people in positions to go against a tyrannical system that we have now than you do if you didn't vote. On a national level, with national candidates, it's all rigged. Don't worry about it. But the more that you build the state up, whether it be in protesting, whether it be in getting the word out, forming groups, whatever it is, and or in the voting or whatever, you have to build that coalition of people that are going to look at the national scale of things and say, hey, it's tipped in the wrong direction, folks. We have to make a difference. So the national elections and the national voting, national elections, national voting, that's all rigged on a very, very small percentage when you compare it to the rest of the United States. And on the local level, where you and I go to our polling places and vote, we can make a difference locally, statewide, countywide, whatever it may be. Okay. So, in that regard, yes, if you don't vote, don't vote. If you vote, vote. It's up to you. But you have to remember, what difference does it make, like Hillary Clinton said about Benghazi? What difference does it make? What difference at this point does it make? Anyway. Hey, if you do vote, get out and vote. If you don't vote, sit at home, enjoy your day. All right? So I'm just saying, what difference will it make for you to go and vote? Something you have to ask. You won't know until after the election, of course. And I'm just telling you the difference between local and national. National, it's already bought and paid for. That doesn't matter. Locally, we can make a difference. Okay? So I'm just saying. So anyway, I'm going to take a little break. It's the 20 after mark. Yes. Email me, freeamericaradio@usa.com. freeamericaradio@usa.com. Please, I want to hear from you. Put in the subject line radio. freeamericaradio@usa.com. Eastland Radio Repertory Theater is looking for you. Are you a voice actor? Do you want to hone your abilities? Please send your audition clips to Eastland Radio Theater at USA.com. We are currently looking for voice actors to fill certain character roles in an ongoing radio play in development. Please send your audition clips to Eastland Radio Theater at USA.com. This is Reverend Wayne S. Pierce from the Free America Radio Network. Come join me on The Views Expressed Live, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, on freeamericaradio.us.
Now, there's one thing you might have noticed I don't complain about. Politicians. Everybody complains about politicians. Everybody says they suck. Yeah! Well, where do people think these politicians come from? They don't fall out of the sky. They don't pass through a membrane from another reality. They come from American parents and American families, American homes, American schools, American churches, American businesses, and American universities, and they're elected by American citizens. This is the best we can do, folks. This is what we have to offer. It's what our system produces. Garbage in, garbage out. If you have selfish, ignorant citizens, you're going to get selfish, ignorant leaders. And term limits ain't going to do you any good. You're just going to wind up with a brand new bunch of selfish, ignorant Americans. So maybe it's not the politicians who suck. Maybe something else sucks around here. Like the public. Yeah, the public sucks. There's a nice campaign slogan for somebody. The public sucks. Fuck hope. Fuck hope. Because if it's really just the fault of these politicians, then where are all the other bright people of conscience? Where are all the bright, honest, intelligent Americans ready to step in and save the nation and lead the way? We don't have people like that in this country. Everybody's at the mall, scratching his ass, picking his nose, taking his credit card out of his fanny pack and buying a pair of sneakers with lights in them. So I have solved this little political dilemma for myself in a very simple way. On election day, I stay home. I don't vote. Fuck them. Fuck them. I don't vote. Two reasons I don't vote. First of all, it's meaningless. This country was bought and sold and paid for a long time ago. The shit they shuffle around every 4 years doesn't mean a fucking thing. And secondly, I don't vote because I believe if you vote, you have no right to complain. People like to twist that around, I know. They say, well, if you don't vote, you have no right to complain. But where's the logic in that? If you vote, and you elect dishonest, incompetent people, and they get into office and screw everything up, well, you are responsible for what they have done. You caused the problem. You voted them in. You have no right to complain. I, on the other hand, who did not vote, who, in fact, did not even leave the house on election day, am in no way responsible for what these people have done and have every right to complain as loud as I want about the mess you created that I had nothing to do with. So I know that a little later on this year you're going to have another one of those really swell presidential elections that you like so much. You'll enjoy yourselves. It'll be a lot of fun. I'm sure as soon as the election is over, your country will improve immediately. As for me, I'll be home on that day doing essentially the same thing as you. The only difference is when I get finished masturbating, I'm going to have a little something to show for it, folks. Thank you very much.
Hey, folks, how you doing? This is Wayne S. Pierce right here for the Wayne S. Pierce Show podcast. Yes, that was a little bit of George Carlin telling you pretty much, in a way, his point of view. Actually, it's not in a way, it is his point of view. Rest in peace, Mr. Carlin. But he's right. But I give it to you a little more simpler terms. If you vote, vote. If you don't, don't. You know what I mean? Do you really want to hear somebody say, and I believe he's right, actually, when he says that if you vote, you have every, right. If you don't vote, you don't have a right to complain. Yeah, you do, because you, the voters, have put us in this situation. I'm going to complain all I want. And if you don't vote, or if you vote, guess what? You don't have a right to complain, because if your party and if your particular politician that you wanted never gets in or gets in and screws things up, well, you got nobody to blame but yourself. So there you go. I know, a little bit illogical, a little bit, yeah. Everybody's going to have a spin on anything that is political because of the fact that everybody wants things their way. Did you know that I'm going to say this, and I know I'm going to get heat for this. So if you disagree with me, email me. Put in the subject line radio so I know you heard this. freeamericaradio@usa.com. freeamericaradio@usa.com. Basically, the bottom line here is a majority of the people that don't vote want their stuff for free. In other words, they want somebody else to pay for it. They don't understand the ramifications of how difficult it is for someone to work their ass off to pay for somebody sitting on their butt. People don't get it. They don't understand it. So, yeah, I know I'm going to get heat for that, but trust me, I've had, let's put it this way. If you haven't walked a mile in my shoes, or 2 miles, or 5 miles, or 10 miles, or if you don't know what's in my head or in my heart because you don't take the time to make the time to sit down and talk with me, you don't have a right to tell me anything. Okay? See how that works? For those people sitting down on their butts doing nothing, expecting the government to just hand them stuff, you're in a group that doesn't really have the self-image to be able to understand how important it is to be the person you are outside of, now I know this is deep, outside of your position in life. Let me simplify that for you. Okay? You don't understand because you haven't educated yourself enough on the situations that you're in to make any wise choices to get out of the situation you're in. And you're in the same position as those illegal aliens coming over here getting the handouts that you're getting. And guess what? The government, Washington, D.C., is cutting the programs for you to give to those that are illegally here. Okay? Now, I'm not saying that you're too stupid not to figure it out. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that you don't have the time to make the time to figure it out because you're running around doing so many other things. Now, I even said on previous broadcasts that if there are people that actually need the state, or, if they need some type of, program that they need to be on to help them out, and they need it, I'm okay with that. But others that just want to get on the system just because, No, those people need to pack up and move away. They need to go to Mexico or something. Oh, by the way, you're not going to get down there what you get up here, so you better think about that one. But I believe that there are many different people who are in the same mindset as George Carlin, the late George Carlin. I believe that there are a lot of people who feel that their votes don't count. And in certain areas, as I spoke before the break, yes. Nationally, they don't. Locally, at least you got a fighting chance. Okay? So, I find myself almost wanting to scream at the people that don't vote. Now, why is that? Well, it's real simple. If you don't vote, you're not, even in the local area, or I shouldn't even say even, because that implies they vote nationally. If you don't vote locally, and you don't vote at all, and you're going on this mindset of, I don't want to vote, it doesn't matter, whatever. Well, if you don't vote, you don't vote. If you vote, you vote. But if you don't vote, you're running a risk of having a situation happen that could be detrimental to your freedom. So this is something that you really, really have to take a look at on a local level. And you see the signs in your area. There's signs all over the place. There's big-ass signs all over Reno here. I'm broadcasting in Reno, Nevada. Signs for city council member, for 4th Ward District, for, sheriff, for this, for mayor, for that. There's huge signs. Okay? And it's all over. It's all the propaganda that's out there, right? I'm not saying that if you vote to vote for lesser of two evils, they're both evil, so what the hell you want to do that for? But check it out. Look at who's out there. Examine the ballots. Look at everything there is. Okay? I did. But if you don't vote, you don't vote. If you vote, you vote. It's as simple as that. There is no reasoning. There is no justification behind it. You don't have to explain yourself. If you don't vote, you don't vote. If you vote, you vote. There's no, I don't vote because. No, just come right out and say, I don't vote. You know why. Why would you want to volunteer that information to anybody else anyway? You don't vote, period. Or you vote. Well, okay, great. Hope it works out for you. I'm saying that if you do vote, vote locally so you'll have a chance to stand against the tyranny that is coming out of Washington, D.C. But on a national level, comparing the local level to the national level in 2 years, or in 2015-16, your votes don't count. Okay? Because they're bought and paid for on a national level, so it doesn't really matter. So that BS is trickling down into the states, and they're trying to subjugate the states as in, a kingdom. And on a local level, when we vote and push back against that tyranny, we have a fighting chance. Okay? I don't know too many people that can, word it that way or understand it in that fashion, but I do. Oh, there was a time in my life I didn't vote. Of course there was. Because the people on a national level, by the way, and local, I just didn't think the people I at that time, and this was back in the 90s, I didn't really look at the people that were on the ballot. I couldn't verify their platforms. I couldn't look into that. Now, with the internet and everything else and all the research I've done in other areas and all that, I can find out what platform somebody has in less than 5 minutes. So, bottom line, if you don't vote, you don't vote. If you vote, you vote. I'm just giving you my opinion on what the comparison is. Okay? That's all. That's all. Hey, let me go off into another direction here before the next break. This is election cycle. And here, coming up probably next month or starting in about February, March of next year, we'll start having the presidential push of candidates. We'll start having these candidates show up on the national scene. And we'll start seeing a whole lot of propaganda and rhetoric that's going to be coming out of it. Now, here's the thing, and I know I'm going to get heat for this too. Let's stop the negative campaigning. Hey, politicians, either locally or nationally, shut your damn mouths. Tell me what you're going to do, not what your opponent hasn't done or what they've done going against this and that and that. No, shut your pie hole. Okay? A gardener doesn't come to my house and criticize the other gardeners in the area and say, well, that gardener over there who does Mrs. Jones' house, he doesn't trim the bushes the way they should, and this other landscape, company down there at Mr. Harris's house, they got, a problem because they don't have the right lawnmowers, and shut your damn pie hole. Okay? Tell me what you're going to do, not, what your other opponents are like. Just because it isn't your way doesn't mean it's not going to work for somebody else. You understand that? One size does not fit all. So whatever it is, tell me what you're going to do. Don't give me BS. Be straight up going, hey, I'm going to get in office, but until I get in there, I have no idea what I'm going to do. But I will do this, and I've heard politicians say this. When I do this, I'll have weekly or monthly, press releases, press conferences to let you know how things are going. Well, that's a politician I can get behind. Okay, that's if he does it. But the whole system, once, I don't care if it's, governor, lieutenant governor, state comptroller, it doesn't matter. The minions out of Washington, D.C. are going to come to your state and tell those people, look, we know what you said on the campaign trail, and we know you're now in office, but here's what you're going to do. You're not going to do what you said you're going to do. This is what our bosses in Washington, D.C. and elsewhere tell us you're going to do. And you either play the game or we'll just keep a watch on you. So this is what they do. So anyway, coming up on another break, I'm going to give a big shout out to the one and only Mr. Chris Top over there at the Chris Top program on Spreaker.com and iHeartRadio.com. So go check him out, Chris Top, the Chris Top program. You can also go check out Bob Brutus over at Waking Up, or no, what is it now? I don't know. Oh, CrazyWolfRadio.net. That's what it is. CrazyWolfRadio.net. Check him out, Mr. Bob Brutus. Check out Brian Lang over at LiveTruthRadio.com. That's LiveTruthRadio.com. Lots of things, man. Lots of things happening. If you don't vote, don't vote. If you vote, vote. Whatever it is that you feel is best for you, follow your conscience. Make sure you have done your research on these people. Hey, I'll be back right after this. Stick around. This is the Wayne S. Pierce Show. The Wayne S. Pierce Show.weebly.com.
Shall we play a game?
Did you know that the first Matrix was designed to be a perfect human world where none suffered, where everyone would be happy? And it was a disaster. No one would accept the program. Entire crops were lost. Some believed that we lacked the programming language to describe your perfect world, but I believe that as a species, human beings define their reality through misery and suffering. So the perfect world was a dream that your primitive cerebrum kept trying to wake up from. Which is why the Matrix was redesigned to this, the peak of your civilization.
I am wondering, why are you here?
This is Reverend Wayne S. Pierce, and you're listening to the Wayne S. Pierce Show podcast right here on Spreaker.com.
This is Free America Radio Network. For more information, go to freeamericaradio.us.
Hello, folks. How are ya? This is Reverend Wayne S. Pierce right here. For the 4th of November, 2014, this is the Wayne S. Pierce Show podcast. Last segment of the show. Hey, big question. Big question. I mean, I talked about voting, not voting, what the ramifications, but not so much, but in general terms, what the ramifications could be or would be on either side. Big question. If you had an opportunity to run for one office in your city, excluding the governor of the state, if you had one opportunity to run for an office in your city, what would it be? I mean, seriously, when you look at the situations going on in your city, what is the one thing that you believe you can do to make a difference? And every single person running, whether it be your mom and pop bakery down the street or somebody from the shoe store down the road or somebody from the hardware store down the other side of the block, they always, everybody, I don't care who you are, says, I want to make a difference. So from your point of view, looking at the city you live in, if you had an opportunity to run for one office, what would it be? And do you believe you would make a difference? There's reasons why I say that, because a lot of people that I've known over the years really have no idea. They have no idea. They're they're absolutely clueless because they don't know how the city runs. They're so pissed off at everything happening the way that it is in a negative sense that they're going to do everything they can to change it to the positive. Now, as I said before in this program, if you vote, vote. If you don't, don't. But look at the local area. Compare that to the national area. The national voting and elections are all rigged. They're all bought and paid for. Your votes don't count. But as I said before, on the local level, you can possibly push against the negativity. Okay. And you can do everything you can to do so. Now, from my point of view, when you put yourself in a position where you open yourself up to that opportunity where you can run for a local office and you don't, you're always going to be spending the rest of your life saying, I wonder. What if? Well, don't think that anymore. I know people that have run for public office in San Joaquin County and Stockton, California, where I'm from, who spent a few years looking at what was going on to see where they could make a difference. Now, I say could because most of the time they get in there and the city council has their own way of doing things. They have their own way of manipulating the masses to get what they want. They look at the county board of supervisors. They look at the state comptrollers, money-wise. They look at the governor. They look at all this, and they say, what can they do for us? Well, I'm more inclined to ask, what can I do for the people if I were running for a public office? And the only way that I could ever know what I could do for the people is if the people came to me and talked to me. My point being is that you need to get out and talk to your politicians. You need to get out and sit down with them and have lunch. Call them up. Call them at their office. Hell, I'd even go one step further if I were you. Call the governor's office and say, hey, Mr. Governor, I want to, or Ms. Governor, depending if your state has a woman governor, I want to sit down and talk to you about a few things. I'm one of your citizens here in this city, in this state, and I'd like to I'd like to have lunch with you and sit down and find out what's going on and see if there's anything I can do to help you. I don't see anything wrong with that. I really don't. But I also see that there's a lot wrong with that. Because you're going to be met with the system. Now, I'm not saying, go play with the devil. What I'm saying is that if you really want to know what's going on, don't you think it would be better for you to talk to people instead of sitting there and yelling and screaming and pointing your finger? Why don't you call up the lieutenant governor or call up, somebody in their office and a spokesman for them or whatever? Same thing with your city council. You can do that too. So, I don't know. We tend to shy away from people who we don't see eye to eye with. And in this election cycle, in November 4th, we want to see eye to eye because we have 2016 to look forward to if you vote. And who knows, I may not vote. If you don't vote, then you don't have a right to complain. Yeah, I do. Because you were the jackasses to put that butthead back in office in 2012. So, yeah, I have a right to complain, and I am going to complain. But when you look at the bottom line and ask yourself some valuable questions pertaining to not only how you're going to vote, but ask yourself, you know what? Should I not talk to the people I'm voting for to find out more? Because don't you think you're obligated to do so? Don't you think it's your duty as an American citizen in your state to do so? I mean, to me it makes sense. I don't know. I could be way off base. You could care less. And you'll just vote for someone whose name sounds good. I don't know. That's up to you. All right. You got any questions, comments, concerns? Even if you disagree with me, I don't care. Just show me why. You can email me at freeamericaradio@usa.com. freeamericaradio@usa.com. Please put in the subject line radio so I know you heard this. Did I vote today? Yes. Is it hypocritical of me to say vote, don't vote, if you don't vote, or if you do vote, vote? No, it's not hypocritical at all. What it is my way of saying you have to follow your conscience. You have to sleep at night. You have to know you've done your part. Whether it is, if you don't vote and you think that's doing your part, okay. If you vote and you think that's doing your part, okay. But you really need to ask yourself about how your conscience feels. And then tomorrow or next week, if you don't vote and things go south, and you're the one sitting there, I don't vote because I believe blah, 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 then, you've got egg on your face, don't you? And for those that vote, and the person that you voted for, or the proposition or whatever it was you voted for, didn't become what you wanted, you have you don't have a right to complain. Why? Well, what did you hear George Carlin say? Think of it this way. And I'm going to try to simplify this for you because I know that some of you out there need this. But let me try to simplify it for you and put it this way. You've got 5 people in a room. One of those people says, you know what, I can lead this group in a very positive way. And the other 4 look at that person and say, really? And you don't think we can? Well, and then you got another person, one of the 5, saying, well, I just saw what you did over there, and I know what you did here in this situation, and that wasn't too good, and why would you want people to vote for you? Then you'll have all of that. So you're standing there looking at these 5 people who are, complaining to one another about who's going to lead a group. And they look to you and say, who do you think? Well, who do you think? And you're probably going to look at those 5 people and say, wait a minute, I have 25 people over here that I can go talk to and have them come in and take a look at you, and you can tell them what you want to do as far as leading the group, and we'll let them vote. Okay. This is what's happening right now, folks. This is what's happening right now. Is that the propaganda that is being spread throughout the country of all your local candidates, your state representatives, and all this is just that. Propaganda, opinion of people that don't know what they're talking about. And one candidate saying, oh, you don't want to vote for that, my opposition, because they're negative and they're this. Really? Why are you trying to implement a smear campaign against your opponent? It's the propaganda of fear, of intimidation, of deceit, of disinformation. That's what it is. So vote your conscience if you vote. If you don't vote and you think that that's good too, then don't vote. Anyway, I want to know from you, vote or don't vote? Give me a little brief 1-paragraph description as to why, or an explanation why. Or a couple of lines. Make it brief. Send that to me at freeamericaradio@usa.com. freeamericaradio@usa.com. Put your name, or I should say put radio in the subject line. You don't have to give me your name in there, by the way. You just, here's, why I wouldn't do this. Here's why I would do this. What do you think is better, vote or don't vote? Yeah, pretty much. freeamericaradio@usa.com. freeamericaradio@usa.com. When you look at it, the landscape, this political landscape we got, what's the first thing that comes to mind? when you look at the politicians within that landscape and you look at what they've done, what they are, where they're going, where they say they're going, what they say they're going to do, what do you think? 99.9% of the time, people are going to speculate on what they could do. They have absolutely no experience whatsoever in doing it, but they believe they're going to do it. It's like going back to the people that vote or don't vote, or the politicians that say they're going to do one thing but get in and do something else. But think about it. If you were in a situation where the opportunity came to you to be a part of the system, would you? And what would you, if you had the opportunity to run for a particular office, what would that be? And would you, as I asked before, would you think it would have made a difference? See? So, there's a lot that we have to consider when we vote. There's a lot that we have to consider in these elections. I know that 2014 is crucial because of what's going on. I know that because of what happens today, the 4th of November, 2014, is going to affect the outcome of the 2016 presidential election. So, how are you going to deal with that, those that vote and your candidate didn't get in office? How are you going to deal with that, those people that don't vote and have a right to complain? How are you going to deal with that? Because this system is broken. This system is broken, and on a local level, when you vote, you're attempting to glue the pieces back together so that the real people who want real change are in office and will stop the tyranny coming out of Washington, D.C. by any means necessary. And that's a tall order to fill, too, folks. That's why we need patriots. Yeah, I shall stop there. The website is thewaynespearshow.weebly.com. The email is freeamericaradio@usa.com. freeamericaradio@usa.com. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, even if you disagree with me, show me why. freeamericaradio@usa.com. A lot going on, folks. And today is crucial. Today is crucial. If, for some reason, you don't get out and vote today, that's okay. But if you do get out and vote and your candidate or whatever doesn't win, hey, that's okay too. Folks, I'm going to get out of here. This is Reverend Wayne S. Pierce. You can email me at freeamericaradio@usa.com. freeamericaradio@usa.com. If you want to help out Free America Radio Network, you can. You can donate through PayPal or Bitcoin. You can also sponsor the show if you like. Go to the sponsors page as well. I'm not going to break your advertising budget, and that's the way I like it. If you want to, you can get your emergency food supply before the next man-made or natural disaster happens. Have what you need to prepare yourself, folks. Go to thewaynespearshow.weebly.com. Click on the emergency food supply. Get as much as you want. It'll help you out and help out Free America Radio Network. Thank you very much. Come join me on the Views Express live today, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Free America Radio Network at freeamericaradio.us.